and welcome once again to another edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. This one we're calling Driving Home with Voida. I know that you guys in the past have been loyal supporters of the show, and because of that, Matthew and I have an opportunity to go to games live and in person. And sometimes when we do that and cover the games for brightsideofthesun.com, we have to podcast from our vehicles on the drive home. That's dedication right there. That's what we're doing. So Matthew's with the family, a bunch of family members in town. Went to the Suns game tonight. A loss by the Phoenix Suns, 98-89 tonight. One of those games that, as I leave the print, I'm not upset. This isn't one of those ones where I'm overly upset. The shots just weren't falling tonight. It's unfortunate because you did have a great defensive effort by the Suns. They gave up a total of 98 points. That is their third least amount of points surrendered thus far this season. 98 points. But conversely, they only scored 89 themselves. Therein lies the issue, right? This has been a week of offensive mediocrity for Phoenix. And that's where frustration can set in. But it's something that, again, I'm not overly concerned about because I know that this team has the ability to bounce back offensively, that they have the weapons to do so. I'm more concerned with the defensive end because I haven't seen on a regular basis defensive effort. So when I see defensive effort occurring, it makes me happy because defense is effort. Defense is give a shit. Defense is trying. Defense is not complacency. Yeah, the shots weren't falling tonight, and that sucks. It's probably as bad as the video that's for those of you who are watching versus listening of me just driving around downtown Phoenix trying to get home. We'll see how long this podcast goes, but I'm hungry. I didn't eat the game. I'm feeling McDonald's tonight. Like, fuck it. It's not the New Year's yet. So maybe we'll take a ride and we'll go through McDonald's drive-thru together. We got that going for us, which is nice. You know, again, thanks to everyone who is watching or listening live or later. Appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button if you can. I know it's a lot of effort. It probably equals the amount of effort put forth driving and podcasting at the same time. Let's see. What's that say? John, are you high? This team has got some big-ass fail of a team. Yeah, this team, I'm not saying that this team is without issues. Obviously, Obviously, they're not without issues. They're 15-15, right? This is a 500 ball club. But the offense is something I'm not overly worried about. Even though this week alone, it's dried up. You look at Kevin Durant tonight, and I'm not going to be able to play the drops. Maybe I'll just act them out. Like, who the heck are you? You know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. One of the greatest players who ever played a game. But Kevin Durant, 35 points tonight. Kevin Durant, fantastic in this game. 11 of 19 from the field. Shot like 54% from the field. Whereas his teammates shot like 34%. He had 35. The rest of the team had 54. I mean, that sucks. That's not good. But again, I'm not overly worried because the defensive effort was present, and that's what I give a shit about. Get this camera set up as best I can. All right, whatever. So Kevin Durant. So I'll start off talking Nurk. How about that? So Nurkic ejected in this game. Gets in a fight with Najee Marshall. Bitch slaps him upside the head. Kind of ducks away from a Najee Marshall hit, and then P.J. Washington pushes him over. Right? So all three players are ejected. Now, it's interesting to talk about that ejection because I see both sides of the argument, right? One side is Nurkic, you can't get emotional like that. If you're frustrated, take it out on the opposing team with your play, not with, your forehand. Don't take all the lessons that you learned from Draymond Green and put them into action against the Dallas Mavericks on a Friday night in Phoenix during the holiday season. Be smarter than that. Up to that point, I forget what his final total was. I think he had 3 points. Maybe it was 5. I know he hit a 3. But he had 4 turnovers. That I know. So, not a great game by Nurkic, but also when he was off the floor, that's when the Mavericks really abused the interior of Phoenix. They knew that Oso Ighodaro was smaller than Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, and PJ Washington. They knew they could attack the interior. So in the first quarter, they were shooting lights out to start the game. And in the second quarter, when Ighodaro came in, they attacked the interior. So you needed Nurk in this game. You needed that physical force inside. Now, what was interesting is during that ejection, he took 2 players with him. And because he took those 2 players with him, Najee Marshall and PJ Washington were both ejected, and they're both plus defenders. It opened up the court for Kevin Durant and for the whole team collectively. It opened it up for Phoenix, and there was an opportunity there. They were down 16 points when that ejection occurred. And they got it down, I think, as close as 8, maybe 6. But primarily it was because Kevin Durant was having Maxi Kleber guard him. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to attack. Again, 11 of 19 for him. But again, the challenge is the team around him. Like, Beal had a bad night. There's no two ways about it. 5 of 18 from the field, 11 points for Bradley Beal after putting this team on his back on Christmas. If he could just do it a couple days in a row, it would have been highly beneficial for the Suns, and they would have got a win. I like that Nurk got ejected in this game for a couple reasons. One, I'd like to see some fight. Okay, maybe not literally, but I like the emotion. Because this team, to me, has been an emotionless team for quite some time. They don't have a bunch of guys who are overly expressive on their roster. So as a fan just of watching the team, I like to see some give a shit. I get it. Yeah, give a shit by scoring. Give a shit by rebounding. Give a shit by holding on to the ball and not turning it over. These are also ways to give a shit, yes. But I also like the fact that Nurkic was just kind of the foul that it got called on him. PJ Washington, if you watch, kind of flopped on the play. Nurkic was trying to body him down because he knew he had a physical advantage. And PJ just fell over. And Nurkic was like, he probably said something like, man, that's fucking bullshit. And Najee Marshall said something. He turned around and goes, what the fuck you say to me? And he just slapped him upside the head. I don't know. I liked it. Maybe I'm in the minority in this one, and that's okay. But I also like it because it's a reminder to all the people who are the anti-Nurk people, the people who are just yeah, he needs to be gone. It's a reminder that we still need size and that he's the only guy who has size. Because once he was out of the game, and Mason Plumlee, who was decent in the game, it was just that reminder. It's man, without size, this team is nothing. And it brings me back to conversations we've had before about what can you get from Nurkic for Nurkic? You're not going to get much. Are you going to get somebody who can do exactly what he can do, but better? No. You can get Jonas Valanciunas, who's pretty much just Nurkic. Literally, that's pretty much just it. Just a big guy from Western Europe, if that's what you want. I guess again, the nice thing is he's not $8 million cheaper. So the Nurkic argument I get. I don't fault anyone for being anti-Nurk, and I've said this on the pod, and I'll continue to say it. I don't fault anyone for being anti-Nurk because of his lack of athleticism. I don't blame anyone for being anti-Nurk because of his lack of physical abilities. But again, provide a solution. And we, Nick Claxton, somebody said in the comments after the last pod, and that's a good one, but I don't see Brooklyn wanting to get rid of him unless we give up too much for him. There's just no answer out there. And we run ourselves, and I run myself in circles talking about it, especially when I have a one-man show again tonight. I run myself in circles talking about this subject. But the reason I do like Nurk is because he does give a shit, and that's unquantifiable. That's one of those things where it's just like, man, you know it when you see it. Josh Okogie tonight. Josh Okogie is a give a shit player. Here comes a bump. Woo! Josh Okogie hustled his ass off tonight. Josh Okogie did something, along with Monte Morris, that I haven't really seen much from the Suns this season. That's full court press. I can't tell you the last time I saw full court press from the Phoenix Suns. And Josh Okogie and Monte Morris were doing it tonight in stretches. And I love that. I mean, I talk about needing defensive focus and grit and hustle. And it starts with little things like that. By letting the opposition know you're not just going to walk up to the time stripe at your leisure and then get set and get into your offense. That's why the Suns were successful on Christmas against Denver, because between Okogie and Ryan Dunn, they attacked the point of attack. And they did so in a manner that said, Jamal Murray, you shall not pass. Well, it was Josh Okogie and Monte Morris, and Ryan Dunn was doing it as well as he was guarding Kyrie Irving. But all three were carrying that over. And that's where I'm at right now with this team. Is I want to see some consistency. And we saw consistency on defense. Now, granted, it's 2 games in a row. So you can't get overly excited about 2 games in a row. It's not a trend yet. But as the Suns are getting ready to turn the calendar to next month, and there will be more games, obviously with November and December being months dominated by the NBA Cup, which threw all the scheduling out of whack, you have to make up for those games in January, February, March, April. And we're going to see a lot of back-to-backs. We're going to see 4 games in 6 nights, that kind of shit in January. But it's also an easier schedule for the Suns in January. We get the Hornets a couple times. We get the Wizards a couple times. I mean, these are bottom feeders. And so if you're starting to develop an identity, albeit only 2 games, on the defensive side of the ball, the shots will start to fall. This team is too talented offensively for the shots not to fall. It's unfortunate that Bradley Beal kind of cost us the game with his lack of shooting, because Royce O'Neal wasn't horrible. He started 0 for 3. Then he ended 5 of 7 from the field. He was 4 of 9 from beyond the arc. He had a good game. Tyus Jones wasn't as involved offensively as I think we would like, especially with Devin Booker out, because Tyus Jones has shown us that he can score, and he can score efficiently. So you want that from your point guard if a Devin Booker is out. And there's no report on a timetable for return for Devin Booker. I think that when the injury occurred, I think we all kind of knew that Devin Booker would be out for an extended period of time. That groin injury is something that cost him 21 games a couple seasons ago. So, just the hope is that he can get right by mid-January. That's kind of my hope. Again, with that softer schedule ahead, we can get right by mid-January and we can stay as healthy as possible. This team's going to be competitive. And I know that a lot of people look far into the future and go, well, this isn't a championship team. Well, no shit. But we still watch, don't we? Yeah, this team's not as constructed right now as they're playing right now. Obviously, they're 500. I got to say, don't be a fucking tailgater. I got some guy up my ass. I'm going 75 down to fucking 51. All right, speed limit's 55. Ass. Yeah, go around me, motherfucker. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to beat me to your stop sign like 2 seconds before I get there? It's still a stop sign, you jackhole. One of my favorite things to do when people tailgate, and listen, I'm a guy who lives in the fast lane. You know what I'm saying? I am always going over the speed limit. Not reckless. I'm not a reckless driver, but I'm a get to where I'm going kind of guy. I'm not lackadaisical when I drive. So if people start tailgating me, if they get right up on my ass and I'm going like 75, you don't brake check them. That's a dick move. You know what you do? You just let off the gas. No brake lights involved, baby. Just let off the gas. Lets them know, like, wow, maybe I'm the asshole. Or who knows, maybe I'm the asshole. That's the issue. Anyways, back to the Phoenix Suns and away from my driving habits and etiquette and advice for people who drive. We'll see how this team responds tomorrow night, because they're right back at it tomorrow night against the Warriors, a good defensive team. So obviously, if you're having offensive problems, probably not the best antidote to go and play the Warriors, have a couple nights off, and then play Memphis, who's also a surprisingly good team, but not surprising to Matthew Lissy if you ask him. What else did I notice tonight that was of note? Kyrie's really fucking good at basketball. I don't think that any of us are shocked by that. And it takes me back, I was thinking about this, it takes me back to, 2021, that off season, the Kevin Durant talk, Kyrie wanting out of Brooklyn as well. Yeah, slow down, motherfucker. The person's on their phone too. Like, I should talk. I'm literally recording a podcast live. Jesus. Sorry. But that offseason when everyone didn't want Kyrie because they thought he was batshit crazy, he was always good at basketball. I always wonder why we judge people so harshly on how they act off the court or off the field. Like we have some moral high ground over. So I don't want to. I won't root for that. If you're watching this podcast and you're watching this team, you're going to root for him because you can't fucking help it. You're addicted to the shit. It's like Barry Bonds. You guys know I'm a Dodgers fan, so I hate Barry Bonds because he was a giant. But Barry Bonds was the best baseball player I've ever seen on TV and in person. You could not strike that guy out. He had the best eye I've ever seen anybody ever. And the stats prove it. Now, did he a Covey Cove because he was roided up? Sure. But he didn't swing at balls. Like, and people to this day, and this is what drives me nuts about the fucking Baseball Hall of Fame, is there's that moral high ground. I won't let him in. He cheated. It's like, yeah, guys were fucking dropping acid in the fucking 70s, pitching no-hitters. Mickey Mantle, well, he was drunk all the time. But, like, guys doing coke in the 80s, they're all in the fucking hall. But there's this, like, imaginary line of demarcation. And it kind of happened with Kyrie Irving because of everything that was going on in the world at the time. He's somebody who didn't believe in the vaccine, which is understandable. Like, that's his body, his choice, right? And everyone's like, I don't want that on my team. He's reckless. And I know Tyus Jones having a great year, but, man, having Kyrie Irving around probably would be pretty fucking nice. That guy's so fucking good at basketball, man. He is so fucking fun to watch play basketball. He's so quick. Like, Ryan Dunn is a great defender. As a rookie, mind you, a great defender. And the quick twitch ability of Kyrie Irving was on full display tonight. And he didn't have the greatest game, but he definitely opened up in Fuego. Man, he was fun to watch. I love watching good basketball players in person. Kevin Durant tonight, Kyrie Irving tonight, Yusuf Nurkic every night. I kid. Speaking of Ryan Dunn, I like the fact that he continues to be in the starting lineup. I think that's a smart move, especially with Grayson Allen out. Like, if Grayson Allen's out, you might put Royce O'Neal in there just because you have a little bit more depth shooting. But if you have Royce O'Neal or Grayson Allen's out, Royce O'Neal becomes your shooting depth. So having Dunn in there, that's the future, man. That's the fucking future. Because the way that Ryan Dunn defends is plus three-point shot wasn't falling tonight, but there's still good looks. Like, I honestly, it's one thing when you watch certain players and you look at their shot and you go, oh, no, like Oso Ighodaro, I mean, if that guy could just develop a jump shot, he'd be really hard to defend because he's so athletic, because he's a great rim runner, because he's very, very smart. He has that high basketball IQ. But his jumper is just ass, and that's why he doesn't take him. That's why he just does the push shot and carries the hell on with his life. How do you play basketball for as long as he has and, like, don't even try jumpers? I don't get that. Anyways, but Ryan Dunn, his jumper, it looks good. I like what I see. It'll be nice to have more of them go in. That's kind of the story, the theme of the night. We're the Phoenix Suns, and everybody not named Kevin Durant can't make a fucking shot. But here we are, 15-15. It's like the Suns duped us again. 500 team, struggling to find an identity. It's like last season, just all over again. Except we know the identity of this year. Their identity is that of a team that is inconsistent. That's what it comes down to. It's just they're an inconsistent team. But when you take a look at the Western Conference, that's the majority of the conference. That's the majority of the league, in all honesty. The Celtics are, 22-8. You know, they've kind of fallen off. OKC's continuing to be dominant. And the rest of the league in the middle just spends the whole season trying to figure it out. On the bright side, we still have my video. No, that's back. We still have 52 games to go. That's the other side of this. And you look at teams like Philadelphia, they're starting to figure it out. And you go, man, if the Suns can just figure it out, because we have the talent. And again, that defensive intensity, if you can replicate that night in and night out and be effective in doing so, it's one thing to be defensively minded, but ineffective in doing so. You know, I think of, God, who was the team that did that to us and they fucking beat us and it drove me nuts. It wasn't Orlando. Maybe it was Orlando. There was a team that we played that just gambled on every play. They were physical and they gambled on every play. And the Suns, unastutely, didn't take advantage of that. They kept throwing cross-court passes. And, like, they kept getting picked off. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? That guy's going to get in an accident and die. Slow down. If you're on a motorcycle, one, don't do that. And two, slow down, man. People don't see you. I've never been on a motorcycle in my entire life. I used to be obsessed with motorcycles when I was a kid. Obsessed with motorcycles. And then I was like 16 years old. I was at a Bank of America inside of a Fry's food and drug store on 64th Street in Thomas. I was cashing a paycheck, you know, like one of those like $150 paychecks you get from working at a dry cleaners. And I'm walking out to my car, and there's some guy fucking going like 90 down Thomas. As he goes through the intersection, I don't think he prepared for the undulations that the intersection had. And he's ragdolled off of his fucking bike, no helmet, done. Right in front of me. I mean, that guy must have rolled like 300 feet, head done. I mean, I just traumatized me. Never in my life have I been on a motorcycle. Never will I. I don't trust other people. I drive a truck for a reason. It's not because I like to haul shit around. It's because I want to be in something safe. If somebody hits me, at least I stand a chance. Motorcycle, you don't stand any fucking chance. So all my cyclers out there, be safe. What the fuck was I saying? Something about the sun sucking. I see a lot of Beal talk. Bradley Beal will stay. Brad Beal. Suns jam session where we get the driving lessons. Yeah. Yeah, Bradley Beal, I get it. I get the frustration. We're all right there. Oh, we can talk about Jimmy Butler news. So obviously Pat Riley came out and said that they're not trading Jimmy Butler. Like he's had enough of the rumors and the bullshit. And he said, we're not doing it. Oh, well, it was a pipe dream anyways, wasn't it? I think we all wanted Jimmy Butler because we knew that what he brings to the team is kind of what they've been missing. He's a great off-ball player. He doesn't need the ball. He would have fit in perfectly, but we're stuck with Bradley Beal. Like, that's the disadvantage. And, you know, I mean, it's something we talked about all summer long. I can't tell you how many times I've written for Bright Side of the Sun about the Beal contract and how unfortunate it is and how it's like it's the ultimate cock block. Like, Bradley Beal, you're a cock blocker. And it's, you know, again, the Suns were so eager to try to get something back for Chris Paul that they rushed it. And honestly, like another year of Chris Paul would have been fine. Wouldn't have broken the bank. And I kind of would have liked, I think a lot of us would like to see a full season with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton with KD. I think we would have all liked to see just how that went, but the locker room was broken, and the Suns were trying to get off the Shamet money and off the Chris Paul money, so they jumped at the first chance they could. That first chance, his name was Bradley Beal. I don't know if the guy in the research department understood that he had a no-trade clause, but it fucked us. It's like the Nurkic contract. It's not horrible. It is tradable. But Nurkic himself is hard to sell anyone on unless they're trying to get off of expired money or they have somebody who they're afraid is going to leave in free agency this upcoming summer, and they want to trade so they get something back for that asset. So it's not just an asset walking away. That's like the Valanciunas situation, right? Like Valanciunas can leave at the end of the year. He's making $9 or $10 million. Maybe they go, you know what, we can turn that into Nurkic, and then that's going to help us later down the line if we want to break up his contract into 2 or 3 separate contracts. It's just, but Bill Simmons was saying this the other day on the Bill Simmons podcast, and he's right. The new CBA, with all of its tax restrictions and aprons and second aprons and exact money needs to be traded, and you can't aggregate players if you're over the second, yada, yada, yada. All of these different restrictions are turning the NBA, and we'll continue to monitor this over the next few seasons. It's turning into the NFL, where there's just not a lot of trades at the trade deadline, right? Like you kind of make your trades in the off season, and you just deal with it. So that's what the NBA is kind of becoming. Good, bad, or indifferent, it is what it is. It kind of sucks because I think that's one thing we've grown accustomed to in the NBA. And I'm sure fans who are much older than myself remember what the NBA was like before free agency. And that's how it was as well. Like, you build your team in the offseason and they stay together. And, that's what it is. But it sucks because you have teams on the fringes that are trying to make those moves and they can't because of the restrictions ahead of them. So I did see a comment from Keith Nettles in there. I want to pull this up. All right, John, give us your thoughts on drivers not yielding to emergency vehicles. Yeah, they're just assholes. I swear everyone else on the road's an asshole. And God bless my wife for every time she drives with me, she deals with it. Because one, like, I'm an impatient driver because I like to go fast. But like, I feel like I'm impatient, but I'm also practical. But like, people going 5 in the fucking fast lane. But like, when emergency vehicles come, and move the fuck over. That's the rules of the road. I don't understand why people don't do that. Like, if you don't do that, you're just in your own world. And so many people are when they drive. That's what kind of drives me nuts. As I sit here again, podcasting, clearly in my own world, but I'm very alert and attentive of everybody going on around me. If I see somebody's coming up on my ass and they're trying to get around me, guess what? I'm moving over to the side because they want to go faster than me. Other people, like, people, I swear, people don't realize they have fucking rear view mirrors to see what the fuck's going on around them. They're just jamming out to Pink in their car. They're like, man, I fucking love this song. Pink was so lit. Her real name's Alicia. But blinkers are my number one thing. Like, be considerate of other people on the road. That's like a blinker. You don't use that for you. You use it for those around you. So use it. Let me know that you're turning. Don't just slow down and turn into someplace, because I'll call you an asshole every time, or an idiot. Oh, what else do we want to talk about? I don't got much else to say. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. I'm off from work right now. I'm off until next Thursday, but I might take next Thursday and Friday off as well. Just a good time to reset, reset as a human being, reset expectations on the Phoenix Suns. Play a lot of Grand Theft Auto 5. I've been playing the shit out of Grand Theft Auto 5. And my wife comes in the room and she's like, what the fuck is this? Like, banging hookers. Or I'm like, there's one mission where you like take a picture of a guy who's like banging a celebrity. She's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, I don't know. But she'll come in my room and see me playing dumb stuff. But on that note, Jamsters, I'm going to get out of here. The jam star of the game is Kevin Durant. I love you all. See you tomorrow night. Well, it'll be Matthew. I have my anniversary, so take care now. Bye-bye.